Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, everybody. Welcome. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. All right, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the live stream. My name is Yaqut Zaman, and this is the live stream I have every Saturday. I try to answer some of your questions and see what the latest is. So, welcome everybody. And if anybody out there feels shy of asking questions in the chat box, then you can actually ask in the Curious Cat. So Curious Cat is where people ask questions, but they would prefer themselves to be anonymous. So be good, guys. Be good. Ask questions, but be good. All right. So British Empire essay, quick Quran recitation. Wa alaikum assalam. Bridge to eternity. Ahlan wa sahlan. Adam, alaikum assalam. Welcome, ahlan wa sahlan. Did you do anything interesting over the break? I went camping. I traveled around a bit. Alhamdulillah. Met friends. Yeah, that's what I did. Alhamdulillah. What did you do? Was there anything interesting that you did in these? This is my tea today, guys. Got normal tea today. Wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. Abu Bakr, ahlan wa sahlan. Nice to get back into routine. Alhamdulillah. It's always very nice to get back into a nice routine. What are your thoughts on the riots? What are your thoughts on the riots, my brother? I don't really kind of have any insight into riots. What do you guys say about the riots? Should we make hijrah in the future? If the situation gets very bad and you can't practice your religion, then if you can, then definitely. If you can't, then you stay. The thing I think we have to remember is this: if people keep having this mindset that they want to do hijrah, they are not going to contribute towards society wholeheartedly. That's the thing. So imagine if Sahaba always had this mindset that they're going to go back to Makkah, they're not really going to contribute to Medina. So when the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Makkah, people of Medina thought once Makkah has been taken back, Prophet ﷺ is going to go back. But he said, no, I'm going to stay with the people of Medina. So I think it's very important for us. There's lots of people, all Muslims in the UK, 3 million, they are not going to do hijrah. Right? And there has to be people in the society, there has to be people who are pushing the narrative, the right narrative of the Muslims and leading the Muslims in all fronts. So I think it's very easy to kind of use the hijrah card. I think a lot of people kind of use it that we're going to do hijrah, and a lot of people just talk the talk and they don't really walk the walk. So I've seen a lot of people who say we'll do hijrah, and they've been saying it for years and it hasn't manifested. I don't know where they're going to go. So I think a lot of people just talk, but they're not really. I would say, look, invest in this society. If you have kids and you have large family, invest in this society. I think our community needs to improve, especially definitely. We get targeted more than communities, definitely. And we have to see what the problems are. We got youngsters in prison. We got a very big number of youngsters who are in drugs and all of that. Is there a problem? Is it the parents that are not bringing up the kids properly? Is it like parents are from back home, from village mentality they've got? They just sit at home, let the kids go out and do whatever they want. What is it? So there's a lot of problems that we have in our society. Right, so let's check out some Curious Cat questions, guys. Curious Cat, let's see what you guys are saying on Curious Cat, inshallah. All right, so okay, let's go back a few days. That should be okay. So I did write ISTG on Discord quite sometimes. Is this counted as an actual oath? ISTG. What does that mean? And can I say write ISTG as an expression, not as actual oath? I don't know what ISTG means. Let me just type it in. What does ISTG mean? ISTG is an acronym. I swear to God. Okay, I swear to God. All right, so yes, there is no oath if you didn't intend it. So if you make an oath and you don't intend, it's basically if you just say Wallahi, Qasmi, Quranic Qasmi, I swear, and you don't intend an oath, it's not an oath. Are people judged for the thought? Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. But what about computer generated sounds that don't sound like music? So experimental stuff like the genre harsh noise. Yeah. So salam. So if it doesn't resemble well-known musical instruments, then I don't see a problem with it. The du'as that we read to erase our sins, even if they were abundant as the form of the sea, does this include major sins? If Allah wants to forgive your major sins, then He can do so. But generally, major sins require sincere remorse for each one. Is reading Quran on the phone okay? Yes. Okay. Is reading Quran laying down allowed? Yes. Though it's not the best way to read the Quran, but it would be allowed. MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. My brother Yusuf, MashaAllah, may Allah bless you. Ameen, Ameen. Jazakallah khair for your kind donation and your du'as. Can you give a syllabus of books to study in Nahu needed to read tafsir like Ruhul Ma'ani? Okay, so if you want to read tafsirs, if you want to get into the tafsir world, Ruhul Ma'ani, what I would suggest is, first of all, start off with the basic matan of Nahu, like for example, Ajurumiya or maybe Nahu al-Wadih, then progress on to something like Hidayat al-Nahu or Qatr al-Nada, and then progress further onto Sharh Qatr al-Nada, onto Sharh ibn Aqil or Alfiya ibn Malik, any of the commentaries on it, the basic ones, the short ones rather. And if you want to go further, then an easy book to follow would be something like Ma'ani al-Nahu. Ma'ani al-Nahu by Samurai is very nice to follow. I would say if you have done those, or you can do Nahul Wafi if you have the time. If you have done those, you will understand majority of the Nahu discussions in Ruh al-Mani. Inshallah. Can you listen to the Quran or Quran in minor or major impurity? Yes, you can listen to it. Yeah. You can't read in major impurity. Wa alaikum assalam, Sani ahlan wa sahlan. I have a coat. Well done, mashallah, I have a coat as well. Does your wudu break if you accidentally touch private parts? Not according to the Hanafis. Ustad, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, Samih. Ibn Arabi, wa alaikum assalam. Do you read any Durood Sharif on a daily basis? Of course, I try to read as much as I can. I don't keep a count, but anytime I get some free time, I try to read as much as I can. I read Quran out loud without holding it from memory without wudu. Yes, you can without wudu. Bing bang wa alaikum assalam. Are you Athari in Aqidah? So it depends. I mean, my Aqidah is whatever the Aqidah of Sahaba were. That's what I tell people. So whatever you want to take that to be. Sani wa alaikum assalam. The inner lining of my coat has a comic print. It shows a full person and some words. Yes, you can wear it as long as if Salat time comes, you have that covered. Sami, I want to thank you since you're helping me out with the Mukhtasar Quduri Shar. Ameen, Jazakumullah khair. But are you going to continue? Yes, of course, inshallah. Probably going to take another 5 or 6 years to do, inshallah. Is it halal to have a friendly competition with your friend to do as muqada? Yes, inshallah. Any advice for someone going to Umrah first time? So if you're going to Umrah first time, I would say, besides all of the technical things that people are going to tell you about, right? You can watch my crash course of Umrah. But I would say in Mecca, focus on trying to stay in the Haram as much as possible. Yeah, if you can do more than one tawaf, alhamdulillah. But if you can't, because it's going to be a big rush there, especially with the work going on, then do as much as you can. Stay in the masjid as much as possible. Read Quran there, do adhkar, dhikr. If you want to read a book there as well. And try to stay away from wasting too much time outside in the markets and shops and these kind of places. And unless you need to go to buy stuff, that's fine. And in Medina, try to visit the Prophet ﷺ's grave as much as possible, give salam, pray in the masjid as much as possible, and read a seerah book. I would definitely recommend reading a seerah book before you go and when you're there to understand more about the life of the Prophet ﷺ and Sahaba. Salaamu alaikum assalam, my brother. Ahlan wa sahlan. I missed the live yesterday. Have you read Ibn Jinni, the Imam of Arabic language? So Ibn Jinni has several books. One of the books that I read sections of was his, what is it called? Al-Khasa'is. Al-Khasa'is. Yes, it's a very nice book, Khasa'is. It's got a really good... So if you ever watch my videos on the root meanings of words, so I've actually read certain sections from there as well. My life gets harder when I try to be a more religious person. Is this just Allah testing me, or is it a psychological trick from shaitan? Possibly. It depends. What are you doing when you say I'm practicing more? What exactly are you doing? Because maybe someone might think, like, for example, those individuals that came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, we're going to spend the whole night without sleeping, and we're going to stay away from our wives, and we're going to fast every single day. They thought that was religious. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no, this is against my sunnah. So you have to understand, sometimes we might assume a particular thing to be religious, but it might not be religious. So, if you can kind of tell me roughly what kind of religious things are you implementing then I can let you know. Is it true that Ibn Abidin said that marrying a Christian in a non-Muslim country is makruh tahrimi, and is this mufta bihi? Some scholars held this view, yeah. Some scholars held this view. I don't know if Ibn Abidin has said this is makruh tahrimi himself. I'll have to check. Also, do you have any tips for someone who's on Nul Idah and reading up on Ibn Abidin? Very strange. What I would say to any student is, if you're studying fiqh, make sure you study the basic books without going into too many advanced discussions. Honestly, I wish when I was studying that I just focused on gradually developing my understanding of fiqh without jumping into these hard discussions. Because what happens is, when you're studying something basic and then you're reading articles here and there, it clouds your understanding. So when you're studying those books, you have to uneducate yourself from everything that you read, everything you've heard here and there, and it just causes you lots of confusion. And I had to learn that the hard way. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe a worker, you're okay with that, but this is from my experience for you guys. I know it's very tempting for people to read articles on different topics, on especially Aqidah. Someone hasn't studied Aqidah thoroughly, haven't read the Quran thoroughly, and then they want to go into very advanced discussions on Aqidah. And I would say that's not a healthy way. And one of my teachers used to say, in the ayah, fi qulubihim marad, فزادهم الله مرضا. Some of the mufassirin say, fi qulubihim marad. The marad can also be caused by engaging oneself in discussions which are beyond their level. Yeah, beyond their level. It just can cause a lot of... Also, do you have any tips how to stick to praying salah and how to stay focused? One of the best things I would say is, stick to praying salah is make sure, if you're a man, go to the masjid. Try to go to the masjid as much as possible. And if you can't go to the masjid for whatever reason, you must set alarm for yourself, and you must pray at that time, right? Make it really fixed, because otherwise, one of the benefits of praying as soon as the azan is given, or as soon as you go to the masjid, is that you become extremely strict in your routine, and that's very good. So I would say definitely, that would be one of the good things. You're welcome, brother Adam. Is your crash course on YouTube channel? Yes. SC1, alaikum assalam. How are you, and how was your YouTube break? MashaAllah, very nice. My YouTube break was very good. I had a very nice time, enjoyed it immensely, as you can see from my tan as well. So I would definitely, definitely you have to, if you do any sort of like hardcore work, day in, day out, definitely take breaks. Make sure you actively take a break. Change your settings, go away for a few days, even travel abroad if you want to, or go with your friends, whatever it is, just to refresh your mind. Staying in one place for a very long time, especially when you start to go older, you're going to need it more. Maybe when you're young, it's okay, you've got all the energy. So this is, I would definitely say, make sure you're allowing yourself your mind to breathe as well. In Salah, following Imam, do you have to say e.g. dua in sujood, ruku, etc., or is Imam sufficient? Say, so when you're in Salat with the Imam, then you in ruku and sujood, you do the adhkar, the tasbih, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Yeah, you should do that. I mean, we're praying Salah. I know this is bare minimum, but I struggle with it, and praying Quran. Yeah, so I would say is be strict on your praying Salat. Once you're strict for a month or two, you'll get into the habit of it. Yeah, because humans are like that. Humans adapt very quickly. So depending on how much you do a particular action, you start to become acclimatized to it. Wa alaikum assalam. Tayyib, ahlan wa sahlan, my brother. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. When and how do you raise your finger in tashahhud? So I've actually made a video on this. Right? So according to Hanafis, you raise your finger when you say La ilaha. When you say la ilaha illa. When you say illa, you put it down. That's the Hanafi say that. La ilaha illallah. Yeah. And Hanafis, you put your hands together, and then this is one of the positions according to Hanafis. You raise your hand, that's the finger. The Hanafis don't mention about putting it down. Yeah. So this is why you might see some Hanafis, they put it all the way down, some let it hang there. I just came across things I find interesting and find it. Yeah, so the reason I'm saying this, like for example, this masala, if Ibn Abidin has mentioned this, what you have to understand is the fuqaha generally say it's makruh for a person to live in Dar al-Harb. That's what they generally say. So this is why when you look at one masala decontextualized, it sounds very strange, because now we live in Dar al-Harb as though it's just a norm now. So this is why it's very important to study things very, very thoroughly, consistently. Okay, let's check out this question then. Salam, a brother is facing a lot of distress in his locality, and his parents threaten to throw him out of his house for going to the mosque 5 times a day and for praying Jummah. Can he skip them? So the answer I gave was, why are they threatening him? So, because his parents aren't Muslim and they think going to the mosque is extreme. So in that case, he can pray at home, but should make an effort to explain to his parents about Islam and what Muslims do. So a lot of times non-Muslims are unaware, they're oblivious to the teachings of Islam. And if you explain things to non-Muslims slowly, in many cases they understand. Salam, can you explain the hadith about when you pass away, if 40 people speak good of you? I don't know that hadith. Not familiar with that hadith. If a company offers a deferred interest payment option where they give you 12 months to pay back something with no interest provided, is paid back fully time period. But if any time you exceed the time limit, paying it back fully, they would charge you interest. Is it haram to use such? If you most likely are going to fall into interest, then no. Otherwise, it would not be wise to get into such contracts in the first place unless there is a good reason. Okay, next. Okay, is it haram if I have online Shopify store and I post products from AliExpress onto my website and market it on TikTok, and once I get a sale, people can pay with cash on delivery, so the money will come out of my pocket first to order the product and then send it to them for higher price? Is that haram or halal? As long as they pay the amount that they agreed to, as long as they agreed to, and they know that you are the middleman, then possibly. I see many Muslims, even sheikhs and alims, using their hand raised to the pointer finger. So some do it when they are giving shahada to non-Muslims. Is it okay to point up to the sky to indicate oneness of Allah? Yes, there is nothing wrong with it, and there is no special reward in doing so. Yeah, so there's no special reward in putting your finger up, like in pictures, people like do that. There's nothing special reward attached to it. Okay. Is Hani the first love of Rasul Sallallahu? I have no idea. I not come across this. Hani is the cousin of the Prophet Sallallahu. Is Allah the best of companions, and is it true to call Allah your best companion? It depends what you mean by that. Allah should only be called by what He has called Himself or the Prophet, peace be upon him. So you should only call Allah by something that He's called Himself. So you can't say Allah is my best mate. You shouldn't use the word best mate for Allah, because Allah has not used that term for Himself. So this is why when it comes to the names of Allah, you should restrict yourselves to those names that are befitting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. All right, so let's check some of these out then. Okay, Hamim, alaikum salam. I've heard some people say fatwa versus taqwa. What does this mean, and is it really a valid comparison? So fatwa is basically like the legal ruling for something. Yeah. So like, for example, let's say in the UK, according to the British law, this is the law, but it might not be morally right, as in it might not be something which is best to do. So someone might say, I am within the law to park my car in front of your drive, right? So if you park in front of someone's drive, by law, you're not doing anything wrong. So that's what happens. Sometimes in fatwa, there might be an answer in fatwa which you're technically not doing anything wrong, but it's not the right thing to do at that particular situation. Like you would say that taqwa, as in, if a person really has this deep connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. Yeah, so that's generally how taqwa and fatwa work. So the Prophet ﷺ says that you should, even if the fatwa is given, you should always ask your heart that, is it really something I should do? Now this obviously could differ in situations. So I would say you look at the situation. Yeah, look at the situation. Sometimes obviously the fatwa might be the right thing to take instead of the taqwa. And people, I know people abuse this, right? So people will say, but this is the taqwa, as though taqwa is you should live in a cave. And taqwa is you shouldn't drive a car because you have to get car insurance. And taqwa is that you should not eat any food that's from any shop. You should grow your own food. That's not taqwa. Yeah, that is, the Prophet ﷺ also said about people who make the religion difficult upon themselves, right? Who, like Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu used to say to Uthman radiallahu anhu, you're not allowed to keep wealth more than one day and one night. If you have wealth that will last you more than one day and one night, it goes against taqwa. So Uthman said, but then how does zakat work? Zakat, you have to have it for a year. So it's a tricky kind of area. That's why, again, these kind of things, they generally can be abused, and I've seen people use them in ways that kind of emotionally blackmail people. Okay, Kaziok, what are some books you would recommend second-year part-time Alimiya students to improve their Arabic? Storybooks. So definitely I would encourage people to read storybooks, as many kids' storybooks as possible. So what I'll do is I usually post, I have a whole list of storybooks that you guys can. What you can also, if you've got ChatGPT has got this really nice thing in there, which you can tell ChatGPT, write me a story about the moon, a short story for someone who's learning Arabic, and it will write the story. Then say to it, write me questions for it as well. It'll write you questions, and then say to it, give me the answers or check my answers. I know it's not 100% accurate, but it's something which is there. Yeah, so I would definitely say check that out. Soul in the Dunya, alaikum assalam. I came across a post which mentioned that it's encouraged for spouses to use explicit language during intimacy. Oof, never come across that before. I don't know. I mean, if you send me the post, I can maybe look at it. But Wallahu alam. John, alaikum assalam. Can you do tayammum with a small stone? Yes, so long as the stone touches your palm, right? You rub the stone on your palm. Hassan wa alaikum assalam. How should a masbuq join the salah? Do they have to fold their hands in the imam is in ruku? Not necessarily, no, they don't have to. So Allahu Akbar, you just stand. When you say Allahu Akbar, stand, and then you go into ruku. You don't have to hold your hands. Assalamu alaikum Muhammad. What would you recommend, Sheikh Salah al-Hajj explanation, or are they too advanced for beginners? If you're an absolute beginner, then they might be too advanced for you. Yeah. Try to watch some of his videos if you can. If you can understand his videos, then his books are okay. Right, give it a go. There's nothing really to lose out on. So give it a go, inshallah. If I told someone that I already said wallahi because I thought I did, but I never actually did, does that still count as me saying wallahi? Even I'm confused at that one. If I told someone that I already said wallahi because I thought I did, but I never actually did, does that still count? No, then it doesn't count. Where can you use interest money? You can use it on charity, poor people. Sheikh, what kind of car do you drive? I heard it's a Ferrari. Some people call it a Ferrari, but generally people call it a Volkswagen Golf. My first question, the Quran translation with commentary by Muhammad Asad, is this okay, layman? So the only thing I would say is the translation of Muhammad Asad is good, but the commentary, he has his own little strange views on certain things. So I would just avoid that, but the translation seems fine. Do you know any du'as for students? A lot of the students in my school talk about haram things and act very disgustingly. I'm afraid that they might influence me, so I want to. So inshallah, you will not become influenced, inshallah. Every morning, read Qul Hu Allahu Had 3 times, the whole surah. Qul A'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq surah 3 times, and Qul A'udhu bi Rabbin Nas 3 times. And then dry spit onto your hands and rub it on your whole body. Do that in the morning before you go to school, and do it in the evening, and inshallah, Allah is going to protect you, inshallah. Also, do you know any articles or guidelines on Hanafi definitions of limbs or face parameters? I don't know, not too sure about that. It'd be good if someone has written something on that. Probably, if you want to, like, the dictionaries will usually have this kind of information. Bridge to Eternity, second question. Is it okay to believe in Iman Mufassal and carry out 5 pillars to basic? Yes. Inshallah. Abir Khan, wa alaikum assalam. I have alopecia, so I have no hair. So how do I come out of the state of ihram? So all you have to do is just get a blade and just pass it over your head. That's it. That's all you have to do. You just have to do the act of shaving. That's it. What's your advice to make teenagers understand? May Allah give you shifa with that. What's your advice to make teenagers understand the real love in this dunya, the love from their parents? I don't know. Good question, this. Did anybody got any advice on that one? I'd like to know the answer for that. I have a genetic hereditary condition. I'm the only one in my family with this condition. Every child I may have will have 50% chance of having this condition. I've had many surgeries. Can I do IVF? So why do you want to do IVF for? You know what IVF is? It's artificial insemination. So if you can obviously inseminate a woman without artificial need for it, then why would you need that? Ibn Adam, alaykum assalam. Iyan, alaykum assalam. The other day I prayed Asr but was unsure if I had prayed or not. So decided to pray again. Whilst I was praying, I remembered I hadn't prayed. What should I do? Then you just break the salat. You don't have to pray. And there's no need to do qada. I don't want any possible children to have this condition and suffer the way I have. What I would suggest, inshallah, is so at the speak to your doctor about this situation. See what the options are about this, and try to speak to a Muslim doctor who is practicing, because I don't really know about these things, so I wouldn't really be able to give an accurate answer. But if it's like a really bad condition, which is going to cause a lot of harm, possibly, I don't know exactly what procedures the doctors will do. You'll have to speak to someone who's trained in that. How can I advise brothers and sisters dating before they get married, i.e. going to restaurants together? Just tell them it's wrong. Yeah, sometimes you just got to tell people what's wrong is wrong. There's a hadith, please could you explain if you know what the context behind it? Consult your soul, consult your heart. O Wabisa, righteousness is what reassures your soul and your heart, and sin is what wavers. So basically, this hadith is a hadith which kind of gives like the rule of the thumb. Like if you're in a situation and you don't exactly know whether this thing is right or wrong Islamically, usually if you inside your heart starts beating really fast and you feel uneasy inside, most likely that's a sin. Yeah. So let's say, for example, I don't know, you're about to smoke something or drink something and your heart starts beating fast and you know what you're doing is not right. That's like your innate kind of compass inside your body kicking in. So that's what this hadith actually means. Yeah, al-ithmu ma haka fi sadrik. So the sin is that which it feels unwavering in your heart. So but that doesn't mean that. So let's say someone thinks, I don't know, someone thinks eating in a particular restaurant is wrong and his heart starts beating fast, but it's fine, totally fine. If you ask a mufti, they'll say it's totally fine. That's why this rule is a rule of the thumb when it's like an emergency kind of situation rule. Otherwise, you consult a scholar. Ishaq, wa alaikum assalam. You mentioned following the aqidah of the Sahaba. Doesn't every claim to follow the aqidah? Of course. And if you stick to whatever the Sahaba believe, because this is what Quran says, and I'm not making this up. If you stick to whatever the Quran said, if the Sahaba did, right, then it's fine. Your Iman is totally fine. Yeah. And that's if they are sticking to whatever the Sahaba are saying, that's it. But now if they're coming out with new things which the Sahaba did not mention, that's when the problems arise. That's when issues arise. But if you're going to live your life and you're going to say, you know what, I'm not gonna entertain these new ideologies. I'm not even going to think about them. I'm just going to stick to my life. I'm going to stick to, like my grandma. My grandma is never ever, her Iman is just like a very basic understanding of Islam. What do you say regarding the views of the elders of the Deobandis saying wrong things and wrong? So I would say, first of all, this is very obviously, it's a very serious accusation. Anyone who has ever said anything in the past, whether it's Tabi'in, Taba Tabi'in, Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, even if it's Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, Imam Bukhari, Ibn Hajar, anyone who said anything which is wrong, we always have to make sure, first of all, did they 100% did they say it? And the meaning that you've understood, is that 100% the meaning? Yeah, like for example, Imam Malik used to say that Muhammad ibn Ishaq is the biggest liar. He's a Dajjal. Now, Muhammad ibn Ishaq actually is a narrator that comes in Bukhari, and he comes in other books as well. So this is a very important question, but at the same time, we have to ascertain. Same thing, for example, Maulana Ahmad Raza Khan, he said some very dangerous things. Like if someone reads without context, it sounds very dangerous what he's saying. Sheikh Ramadan Bhuti, yeah. Many scholars have said things. So what I would say is, ascertain what they said. Did they 100% say it? Is it really from them, or is it just something which has been hearsay? And is it really what they meant? Musa Shehzad alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Why do we study logic in Dars Nizami? So the reason why logic is taught is because logic is for two purposes. It's got twofold. Number one, logic, because a lot of the books that are written after the 400s, Hijri, right, after the 400s, were written in a language that was very scientific. Like nowadays, when we write things, we use a lot of scientific words in our writings. So if someone wants to understand our writing, they would have to be familiar with the science of today. So a lot of the writings are written in that particular manner. The second benefit, the reason is why you study, is because logic actually allows you to be able to articulate yourself very accurately. Imagine like this. Imagine you didn't know mathematics. Right? Let's say you don't know mathematics at all, and someone wants to debate you that 5 plus 2 equals 7. Oh, so 5 plus 2 equals 8, and you're saying no, 5 plus 2 equals 7, and you want to prove that 5 plus 2 equals 7 and doesn't equal 8. If you don't know how mathematics works, you won't be able to prove that. So this is why it gives you articulation. It gives you the ability to be able to think in a specific way to be able to counter. So whether you're talking to a Muslim or a non-Muslim, doesn't matter. The rules of logic seem to be ubiquitous. They're all the same. Logic is a very, very nice science. And when I teach it to the students, I always show the students, look how rational it sounds. You can take any argument that's happened today or last week in your family or anyone, and you can take it and you can see whose argument was weak, rational, logically. Like logically, who was weaker than the other person, and that way you can prove through logic why a certain argument is considered to be a fallacy. I think in many madrasas it's not taught properly. That's from my person. It's just taught like as a book to kind of prove that you've just studied logic. Otherwise, if logic is taught properly, it should be taught in a way that you can actually, in real life, give examples of real life things that have happened or are happening, or famous, arguments people have made. You can actually check all of those. So yeah, I've got a course on logic. I've only done 8 lessons so far. I'm thinking of revamping it again, doing the whole thing with modern examples, explanation. Bridge, third question. Other than Mufti Taqi, which next translation you recommend, please? The thing is, look, the reason I choose Mufti Taqi's translation is because I find it very, very in line with like a nice, succinct translation with the Arabic grammar and the meaning of the words. It doesn't mean his translation is superior than everyone else's. That's the first thing. Second thing, I would say Abdul Halim's translation is very nice. Very nice flowing translation. And who else's translation is very good? Fadil Sulaiman's translation is quite nice as well. If you've seen Fadil Sulaiman, that's a nice translation. I am Anis from Los Angeles. Ahla wa sahlan. Yesterday, Mufti Tariq Masood in Jamiat al-Rashid visited Los Angeles. MashaAllah, it was a very good seeing him. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Wa alaikum assalam. Be good. Ahla wa sahlan. Musa, I'm planning Umrah in December. Can we land in Jeddah without Ihram as we are going to Medina first? Yes, you can. Yeah, so as long as you're obviously not going to Mecca, then you can do that. By the way, I saw you in a dream. I think I either asked you a question or discussing something with you, and at the end you told me to research more about it. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. So hopefully that's a good dream. So me telling you that, inshallah, may be indication that I'm going to be answering your questions and give you maybe some inspiration to learn more. If one becomes member of Dawat Islam, giving dawah and bettering themselves only, are they still Muslim? Yes. Can you clarify your recent post about matans? What things can students do to learn a matan solid? Yeah, so I put up a post recently about matans. Matans are basically like prime texts, core texts of any science. The core text of any science is written deliberately by the author in order to capture as much as his research as he can in that text, right? So basically, his text is like the whole life's research that he's found about that subject, and he's crammed it into those lines. That's why the matan is filled with like subtle indications, gems, and it's solid because the scholars have widely accepted it. It's like very, very reliable. What he's saying is very reliable. So let's say, for example, there's two guys. One guy who studies, I don't know, let's say fiqh through the matans. He studies the matan solid. And there's another guy who doesn't study the matan properly. Like he goes through the matan, but then he just reads commentaries and reads articles and reads other things. The first guy's knowledge will be really solid. It's like building a house and making the solids as foundations as solid as possible. Whatever you build on top of that will always be reliable. But the other guy, because his foundation isn't solid, he'll always be wavering in his ilm. He's always confused about, is this the muftabihi? Is this the position in the Hanafi school? What's this? What's that? And I've seen people that I'm sometimes surprised. I see a student who has studied Quduri and they're studying Hidayah, maybe they're studying something else, and they're kind of confused about a particular issue. And you're thinking, well, what did Quduri say? Whatever Quduri said, that's a solid position, that is. Look at the wording that he used. So this is why I would prefer a person to study Quduri multiple times, if so, or at least go over it, reread it multiple times, than to study lots of other books. Yeah, if you can quote Quduri on fiqh matters, if you know exactly where Quduri says what and why he says it, that is, potentially, I would say, the making of a solid scholar. Now, obviously, the other commentaries, you need those, but Dennis, wa alaikum assalam. In terms of being in the state of ihram on the airplane on the way to Jeddah, does this only apply if you have intended Umrah only? Yes. If you have intended to go to Mecca, so if you've intended to go to Mecca from Jeddah, then yeah. But if you intended to go somewhere else, you're going to stay somewhere else, then no. In terms of, okay, then that one, OT, the only issue scholars have is showing the aura of the woman to a stranger, hence some say it's haram. Yeah, so so there's a Mufti Khalid Saifullah Rahmani. He actually mentions about the medical need, right? So there's like various degrees of needs in Hanafi fiqh, and he considers things like infertility and these kind of things to be a valid enough need to allow a person to do that. If I sit in second rakat and recite more than tashahud, will I need to do sajda sahwi if I'm praying 4 rakats? Yes. I asked about real love because modernism sold us a certain type of love which is fake, and teenagers, people tend, as in lust. Like, are you talking about lust? You just seen another message questioning the urban scholars will these people believe scholars would all follow the same. If you don't mind me asking, who did you learn Aqidah from and what is good? So Aqidah, first of all, look, Aqidah, when people say someone studied Aqidah, did any Sahabi study an Aqidah book? No, isn't it? Whatever deen the Sahaba were upon, that is sufficient for the salvation of any Muslim until the day of Qiyamah. It has to be. If you say Sahaba had a particular deen, but now we have to have some extra things in our deen in order for us to reach salvation, that doesn't make sense. That's irrational, that is, because the deen has to be one for everyone. So I studied Quran cover to cover, alhamdulillah. That is the ultimate book of Aqidah. And I also studied Hadith, the Sihah Sitta, Mishkat al-Masabih, which has many chapters of Aqidah in there. Studied that in detail. Besides that, we also studied, obviously beside the Quran, tafsir book as well. Also, Aqidah al-Tahawiyah studied. Also, Aqidah al-Nasafiyah as well. And then besides that, there's other sections in books that have certain Aqidah discussions there as well. Yeah. So when people say, look, at the moment, I think there is like this crazy trend at the moment between Asharis and Salafis and this and that. Everyone's trying to prove that they are the ultimate ones who are on the right Aqidah, and they do this by belittling the other side, which I think is very dangerous, because all you're going to create is like this egotistical Ash'ari and an egotistical Salafi and an egotistical Asari and an egotistical, and that is dangerous, that is, because when everyone looks at these people, all they can see is just people just fighting each other. That's it. And they pick small little issues regarding each other. And that is, I think, when a man came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ, he was complaining to the Prophet about this guy, and the Prophet ﷺ said to him, does he face the Kaaba? Does he face our Qibla? He goes, yeah. He goes, does he eat our meat, our halal slaughtered meat? He goes, yeah. He goes, that's it, then treat him as a Muslim. Why do you have to go so far investigating little details about things? That's what I would say. But if you want a syllabus in Aqidah, I always say this, start with the Quran. Anyone who studies Aqidah without studying Quran solid, their Aqidah is not going to be good. Yeah, it's not going to be good. I can guarantee you that, because their Aqidah will be a very, very vacuum style Aqidah. It's in thin air. Now, if people disagree with me on that, it's fine. But I'm telling you, this is how Sahaba learnt Aqidah. Yeah. Would it be wrong to climb Mount Everest for a challenge and fun activity, knowing that many people die I don't know, I don't know. What's the rate of death for people? What's the chances of you dying? What's the percentage? I don't know what it is. If it's very, very high, then no, not that. By diverse, I don't mean they held wrong beliefs. If people haven't read the Quran and have learned Islam from bayans, etc., may have misunderstanding. When do they read the Quran? May superimpose those beliefs onto the Quran. How to avoid? Study with the teacher. Study with the teacher, definitely. Because then you ask the teacher those questions, and the teacher will clarify it. Can we listen to Sheikh Uthaymeen? I don't know. I don't know exactly his views on certain things. Is there anything wrong with Kanzul Iman in English? I haven't read it. Can we listen to Sheikh Uthaymeen lectures of Riyadh al-Salihin and Sahih Bukhari? The thing is, I haven't studied, the only book of Sheikh Uthaymeen I've actually kind of flicked through is his book on commentary of Alfiya ibn Malik, Nahu book. Is it Alfiya ibn Malik? Yeah, that's the only one that I've actually looked at. That's very, very nice. Very nice read. Is it Alfiya ibn Malik? It's a Nahu book I remember reading many, many, many years ago. Otherwise, I haven't really kind of read his books, to be honest. It's Abdul Halim. Logic and kalam are necessary if someone who wants to be able to face arguments of other people. Is isharaq ma'ani okay for layman? I don't know what that is. Assalamu alaikum, Saqib, ahlan wa sahlan. What does the thing with light say? It says rock. okay, roots of knowledge. Prime, brother, I am noticing a few grey hairs on my head as I am reaching last years of my 30s. As a Muslim, what feelings should I have? I don't know. Allah knows best. What feelings do you want to have, my brother? What I would suggest is just kind of contemplate on, have you reached the goals of your life that you feel Allah is pleased with? Where did you complete your iftar? I did in Karachi. Should one have basic Arabic knowledge before joining an Alamiya course? What are cons and pros? Should one have basic Arabic? No, they don't need to, but it would be very good. If you don't have Arabic knowledge, no problem. If the course is structured in a very good way, then inshallah, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you have Arabic knowledge, it kind of gives you a head start. The only thing is, I've seen this with students. Some students who have background knowledge of certain subjects, when they join an alim course, they might be ahead of everyone for the first few months, but then they plateau. And then when they plateau, they actually fall behind the other students because they weren't putting enough effort in the beginning. And it just caught up with them. I've seen that with some students. Why can't we use black hair dye? Because it comes in the hadith. There's a ikhtilaf of the scholars of whether you can use it. Even the Hanafis, there's ikhtilaf. Some Hanafis say it's better not to use, but it won't be sinful. Some Hanafis say it's sinful to use. And the reason is because in a hadith, it's mentioned the Prophet ﷺ said this. But some of the Hanafis argue that he was saying this to certain individuals and it was in a way that was used in a deceitful manner. What are your opinions on whirling dervishes? I don't know. Wallahu alam. What does shaving a part and leaving a part of hair mean? Does it talk about skin fades? No. So according to Hanafis, I can tell you about what Hanafis say. So it basically means you shave your whole head and you leave hair, patch of hair, the size of 3 fingers. Just want to say you are very, very classical scholar, better than. May Allah grant you Ameen, Ameen, Jazakallah khair, Ameen for thinking good of me. You guys don't know the kind of bad things I do. When a masbook is finishing up his salah, is it also considered shabih bil qada? When he is finishing up his salah? No, how would he be shabih bil qada? Ash'ari Maturidi weren't the time of Sahaba. Sheikh, will you start a full-time takhassus? Inshallah. We're thinking about maybe we're aiming maybe at in a year's time. If not, definitely in 2 years' time. Regarding Aqidah, I can't agree more with the Quran as it should be the first book to study on the topic. Honestly, I think if kids from a young age are taught what the Quran actually says, it will strengthen inside of their hearts what it truly means to be a Muslim. Because that's what Aqidah is, isn't it? In reality, what's the whole point of Aqidah? Is to be a solid Muslim, a solid servant of Allah. That's what Aqidah is. So if your Aqidah is correct, you are a solid, in any situation you put that Muslim will always hold the banner of Islam. Whether it's in the battlefield, whether it's in politics, whether it's in teaching, whether it's at home taking care of the kids, wherever they are. So I think people forget the whole point of Aqidah. They just fight over Aqidah all day, blah, 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 blah. They forget what's the whole point of Aqidah. Like look at your grandma, who has probably not even studied a book of Aqidah. Most likely her belief in Allah is very strong. And if she had studied the Quran solid when she was young, it would be even stronger. John wa alaikum assalam. Saqib, should we listen to Sheikh bin Baz? The thing is, look, I can only advise you if I've heard them myself. I have not listened to Sheikh bin Baz's talks. Probably like a clip or two here, but not like something solid. I wouldn't be able to say. So some of my teachers actually studied under bin Baz, Sheikh Salih Uthaymeen, and others, and they praised them a lot. Yeah, although they said certain things which they disagreed with. So based on what they said, it would be fine. But like I said, I haven't listened. Bridge to Eternity. Is it true if you have multiple Quran in Arabic or English, only one is being read or many years, others are in the shelf cupboard, will that person be sinful? No. So if I read the Quran and study and see Allah affirming attribute for himself, and then I affirm and don't go any further, I'll be fine. Inshallah, why not? That's how Sahaba were one day. Sahaba, Imam Malik's famous statement that belief in it is wajib, and that's it. Did you complete iftar in Binoy Tan? No. I completed my iftar in a place called Jamia Tayyiba with my teacher. So in Karachi, there's lots of iftars taking place, like loads of iftars. The ones at the moment that are the really good ones would be, I would say, Jamiat al-Rashid, Darul Karachi. These are probably two, and Binoy Tan, three are the ones that are very famous. And then besides that, Jamia Tayyiba, that's also. And then there's a few others as well. Muhammad, wa alaikum assalam, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you are well. I'm currently studying an Alamiya course, completed 2 years now, and I struggled to retain all the information, e.g. rules in Quduri and grammar rules. Is this normal? Yep, normal. What I would suggest is try to look at how you're learning the information. What are you focusing on? Sometimes what happens is, you, like for example, I'll give you an example. Like this is now, look, I don't want to kind of boast or anything, but this is how when I was studying in madrasa, I used to actually memorize a lot of things, like word for word memorization. Like for example, Bukhari, for example. The first hadith of Bukhari is Innamal Amalu Binniyat. The second hadith of Bukhari is a hadith about Jibreel. Third one is a hadith about the Prophet ﷺ going to the mountain. Fourth hadith is the one about the Prophet ﷺ seeing Jibreel in his full form. Fifth hadith is about the Prophet ﷺ conversing with Jibreel in Ramadan, going over the Quran. Sixth hadith is about hadith of a long hadith, one of the longest hadith in Bukhari about Abu Sufyan and Herakl, the Byzantine ruler. The next hadith is about the 5 pillars of Islam. The next hadith is about the 60 or odd branches of Iman. The next hadith is about a Muslim is one who others are safe from their tongue and their hands. And there's another hadith like that as well. The next hadith is about the feeding being part of the Iman as well. Tuqri as-salama ala man arafta. And so like that, see, so that kind of, this is how I used to memorize things, and it sticks in your head. So I used to focus on a technique of memorizing certain masail, like have a list of them, and I would go over the masail, understand them solid, and then I would try to link them in my head, and then I would try to write them down on a piece of paper and keep going over them. And that way, in the beginning, it's quite hard, but later on, like for example, now if you say to me, okay, in Bukhari, where's the hadith with regards to shyness? That's okay. Hadith regarding shyness is the one that comes with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ saying that a Muslim's life must not be taken except with one of these three. Yeah. And how do I know that? Because this is something I've been going over a lot. Now it's hard, and I did that with Quduri. I used to do that with many other books. Now a lot of such things I've forgotten over the years. I need to go refresh them again. But my point is that you can do it. You can do. I'm not a Hafiz of Quran, so I don't have an advantage in that way. But it's just really, you just gotta try your best. Yeah, try your best, inshallah. Ya Allah. Okay. But yeah, so that's what I would say. How different was the approach to fiqh of the scholars of Deoband compared to classical Hanafi? I don't know. I don't really know exactly how. So I think the question, instead, rather what you want to say is, instead of saying Deoband, just say later Hanafis. Deoband don't have a special technique of teaching fiqh. I think people seem to assume the scholars of Deoband had this different thing they came out with that no other Muslim in history ever came out with. And that's what makes them so unique. There's nothing, that's just all fake. It's romanticized, the whole thing. So I have never come across anyone. Maybe there was a particular scholar who had a unique way of teaching something, and that doesn't necessarily mean it was in the Indian subcontinent. That could have also been in other parts of the world as well. What your question is probably is, how is the late Hanafi approach from the early Hanafi approach? And this is a long, massive discussion. You need to do iftar for that. هل خير أن ندرس عقيدة وسطية؟ لا 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 حرج فيه إن شاء الله. Dear one is also dear. I swear by Allah, everything I've seen in you is good. Others who say wrong, may Allah accept my good deeds and forgive my sins. So there's nothing wrong with having different hair lengths at all. Nothing wrong. Is it fine to read 2 rakats sunnah of Fajr after Fajr? Not according to the Hanafis. وعليكم السلام زينور سنگا حال دي زمارور خيه تبيت خده. Oh, I've forgotten Insta. How can you make tawbah for cheating in an exam? Should you confess to your teacher if you haven't been exposed? No, don't confess, but just don't do it again. Yeah, don't do it again. Make sincere tawbah. Is Jummah prayer seen as obligatory in the Hanafi madhab? Yes. Like Dhuhr is obligatory. If you follow Hanafi, can you follow the other madhabs do with Salafic? You have to consult with an expert. Yeah, as long as you consult with an expert. Because Shabib al-Qadha, I remember you stated that Lahiq's Salah is Shabib. So that's Lahiq. Lahiq is different. Yeah, Lahiq is different. Yeah, so Lahiq is a totally different because a Lahiq is not allowed to recite. Yeah, so this is why it's Shabib al-Qadha in the sense that if the Imam finishes his Salat, he technically is still in the Imam's Salat. He's still behind the Imam, even though the Imam's not there. What about the Masbook? He joins the Imams? No. So the Masbook, because that is considered to be full Ada, that's the full Ada. Because if he makes his own mistake, if the Masbook makes a mistake, he is responsible for his own mistake. By Allah, Are all your teachers from Pakistan? In the sense, so we had several teachers from Egypt. So in the first year, second year, third year, we had several teachers from Egypt because Azhar used to send teachers to Pakistan in various madrasas to teach over there. They used to teach Arabic and other subjects. And the rest of the teachers were all from Pakistan. And some from Bangladesh, some were from India, but had settled in Pakistan. Do you listen to talks of Mufti Tariq Masood? Only sometimes when someone sends me a clip of something he said. Sheikh, is Tasheel Aqaid books okay for layman? I don't know what Tasheel Aqaid is, unfortunately. If the student doesn't understand the tafsir in Arabic in year 2, is that normal? So it depends what tafsir book it is. If it's like Safwa Tafasir, I think by the end of year 2, a student should be able to read Safwa Tafasir and understand 40 to 50% of it. Rayhan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Looking forward to starting class, inshallah. Year 4, mashallah. Junaid, assalamu alaikum. Ahlan wa sahlan. كيف حالك؟ أنا بخير ما شاء الله يا حبيبنا. What I meant was regarding the fiqh of Deoband was because, if I remember correctly, they were referred to as hadith min Hanafiya. See that Madrasah al-Hadith and Hanafiya is not just the Indian subcontinent. It's not just the Indian subcontinent position. It's actually a position which is started, even says it himself, Abu Salah says, Dr. Abu Salah. He says that it's position started a lot from he says that the head of it was Ibn Humam. And then he says Ibn Nujaym also has this inside of him, and Ibn Abidin has this a bit as well. So he mentions a whole list of scholars on this. So it's not just that it was a wide position. So the two main Hanafi historic Hanafi places. One was Ahl Iraq, and one was Khurasan. Yeah, Khurasan. These two areas had a very different approach in certain things in Hanafi fiqh. So well documented. Yeah. So the Ahl Iraq's fiqh is like Quduri and these guys. These are Ahl Iraq. And then the Khurasan and Mawara al-Nahar is like Sahib al-Hidayah. So the approaches on certain things are different. What I would suggest, if anyone is interested in understanding this history of the Hanafis, I would definitely encourage you guys to enroll for Sheikh Salman Yunus's course. It's on Irshad Institute. Sheikh Salman Yunus, he has a course. It's a quite long course, very extensive course on the history of Hanafis. Is Abu Layth your friend? I think Bing Bong, he wants to get blocked. أشتاق أتعلم منك أستاذ إن شاء الله حبيبنا ونحن نشتاق أيضا. Mufti Dr. Ismail translation, unfortunately, find hard. Yeah, I mean, some people will find it hard, definitely. So try to find a tafsir which you can understand. Do you know Benoitan had Egypt teachers? Yeah. So Benoitan had Egypt teachers all the way till I think it was about 2004. Then when situations got really bad in Pakistan, after invasion of Afghanistan and then Iraq and all that, then they stopped sending teachers. Tafsir al-Aqaid. I don't know what Tafsir al-Aqaid books are, unfortunately. I haven't read them. So I can only tell you guys books that I've read. That's the thing. Okay, Ustad, what tea are you drinking? This is just normal tea. Normal just English tea. So when I pray salam, my stomach makes sound like gurgling. Sometimes I feel gas from the front, and sometimes it's from the abdominal sound. Is my wudu valid? Yes, it's valid. Can I read dhikr in my head, or does it have to be? You can do in your head, but it won't have the same impact as when you read it on your tongue. Remember, different types of dhikr have a different. So, dhikr in your head, contemplation, has its own unique benefits, and doing on your tongue also has its own unique benefits. Okay, Ustad, what tea are you? I don't know. Would water after flushing the toilet be pure if no traces? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it permissible to create a tulpa? This is what a tulpa is. What's a tulpa? Okay. Everyone imaginary friend. Tulpas originated in Tibetan Buddhism and are thought to be independent, sentient. Okay, so just imaginary friend. Okay. Wassalam. As long as you don't believe it to be a reality or part of Islam, then it's okay. But I would stay away from such things. What is a Sanatain course? A 2-year course. That covers essential topics for Muslims. Start how to have good thoughts towards everyone unless there is a good reason. Make lots of dua for anyone you have bad thoughts regarding. Okay, Ustad, what's the Islamic perspective for having or being in the company of non-Muslim friends? It's allowed so long as you don't get influenced by sinful beliefs and practices. So remember, the company, whatever company is, Sahabas had Christian friends, Jewish friends, some had Christian wives. Yeah, so if you imagine you're a Muslim, your wife's Christian, right? So obviously you're going to be interacting with her. So as long as their beliefs and their practices do not influence you. All right, let's next question. Let's say you work for a restaurant who sell wine, for instance. Let's say you are a financial director of the restaurant. If you get paid money that was received from someone buying wine, if the majority of the income is from the sale of wine, The majority of income is from the sale of wine and the restaurant owners are Muslim, then you should try to find another source of income. Otherwise, it will be okay. Accidentally prayed in front of an evil eye. Would my prayer need to be repeated? No. I think evil eye is that bluish kind of eye that you see some shops sell in Turkey and these places. I'm aware the crescent is not a proper symbol of Islam. However, is it wrong for Muslim nations? No problem. I want to make a book about my grandmother and good deeds she did in her life. Am I exposing her? No, it's fine. It's okay. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I have this job offer working in a place. However, majority of the revenue made is from alcohol sales. So I may be checking it out for people that buy it. Okay. Can you be very explicit about the job? So when you ask these kind of questions, make sure you're telling a scholar exactly. Don't be kind of, like we say, beating around the bush. Don't be kind of just generic with your question. Make sure it's exactly what you're asking. Okay, next. Does it count as riba if I debted someone and fees is $4 and I tell them to cover it afterwards? For example, my friend wanted to borrow me $50, but fees to send is $4. So I told him, you'll send me $58 later. So I received. Yes, that will be allowed. Because basically that's the money that the guy's paying, isn't it? To cover the costs. If my pasta sauce contains a little bit of red wine and it gets spoiled, no, not allowed. Not allowed. There's a video editing app I just found called a Light Motion and it puts watermarks unless I pay a plan. So is it haram to Photoshop? No. Does completing Umrah erase all sins? If a person regrets each sin. Okay. Oh, someone has loads of this. All right, let's look at some of these chat box questions. Okay, so let's go back to this. Tafsir Saadi, is this okay? I've read a few sections of it. It seems okay. Why do you want to block? I said you might be blocked. I didn't say you are going to be blocked. So it looks as though you're going to be blocked. They are the open books used in madrasas. Do they still have Egypt teachers or local teachers now? The Egypt teachers has stopped, unfortunately. Now it's just local teachers. Does wudu break if wind exits your body or if you feel it but it doesn't exit? Yeah, it doesn't break. Zikr hali, classical. So back to the matan question. It's better for a student to rack his brain analyzing Quduri text as he goes through it with his teacher while not. That's it. 100% I would say you just bang on. Unless you're using the shara to understand what Quduri is saying. So when I say using a shara, what I mean is like you've understood what Quduri said, and now you're reading the shara for some extra information, right? Rather than looking for the extra information, focus on the Quduri. Keep going over it. Try to analyze, understand what is he saying in each masala. Does a Sufa have a Sanatain course? Not for brothers. They have one for sisters, but not for brothers. Arman, when you add a fifth rakat in Salah and you have done sajda of the fifth rakat and you add a sixth rakat, do you have to recite a surah with Surah Fatiha in the fifth and sixth rakat? So when you add a fifth rakat, so basically you've done tashahud. Have you done the last tashahud? That's the question. If you've done the last tashahud, you got up for the fifth, and then you did the sixth, then you'd have to read Fatiha and Surah in the last 2 rakats because they are considered to be like a separate salat. What is camphor? Does it not mix with water? Some masail or some madhab say if camphor is in water but doesn't mix, then using it for raising hadath is makruh. Camphor is basically this kind of substance that you can get, which is very, very strong in smell. Yeah, so imagine like mothballs, similar to that. So yeah, according to Hanafis, if camphor was in water, it doesn't really affect. You can do wudu with it, so long as the viscosity of the water doesn't, because camphor is something Hanafis say water is mixed with something which acts as a detergent. Then even if there's a lot of it in there, it doesn't matter. But I don't know what other madhab say. Ustad, what are your opinions on eating while spinning in circles? Opinions on eating while spinning in circles? I don't know what you're saying. Is wearing taweez permissible? So long as the taweez contains ayats of the Quran or du'as, and it's very clear. If it's got numbers in there or other things in there, just don't wear it. If a Muslim does have a Christian wife, his wife eats pork, drinks alcohol, would that affect him as a Muslim? Possibly. Most likely it will. Bing bong. People who dance in circles. So does every white discharge break wudu? Is there any exception? So as many women get white discharge and it becomes very difficult to make wudu. Yeah. So these kind of things, there is ikhtilaf from among some later Hanafis regarding discharge. What I would suggest is this: is that if a woman gets this regularly, then just consider it like sweat, as in you can pray your salat in there, it doesn't break your wudu. But if it's very rare she gets it one off, then she should repeat her wudu. Asking a question is not easy, but asking in a good way can facilitate the answer. That's a good. I like that one. Sami, what's the ruling on music in Hanafi madhab? Not allowed. If it's musical that resembles musical instruments. Will a Sufa do a brother Sanatain course in the future? Hopefully. If I join Imam the last 2 rakats on Asr, do I read anything after the Tahiyyat? Okay, I missed the Instagram one. If a woman goes to the masjid at Jummah time, can she read Dhuhr alone, or does she have to know she can read Dhuhr alone? I meant to say, if Jummah Salah is seen as obligatory in Darul Kufr in the Hanafi, yes. Salam Ustad, is a person forgot to read Qira'ah but read Surah Fatiha, would that be classed as missing a fard or a wajib? So reading Fatiha is Qira'ah, isn't it? So you've done the fard. Fatiha is wajib. Ya Allah, hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Okay, next one. If I join Imam in the last 2 rakats on Asr, do I read anything after At-Tahiyyat? As I only read 2 rakats. You don't have to read anything after that. But if you did, it won't affect your salat. Arman, yes, you have done the last tashahhud and the 5th and 6th, yes. So you'd have to read Fatiha and Surah. They recite it quietly. Is chlorine purifying for wudu? Yes. But not on its own, if it's mixed with water. Hanafi say you can only use water to do wudu. Yeah? If something is mixed with it, are you allowed to use it for water or not? So the Hanafi say if that mixed substance is overpowering that normal, like as in, let's say you add Ribena to water, and now it looks more like Ribena than water, then you can't use it for wudu. But if it's an added substance that's used for detergent purposes, like fairy liquid or anything like that, like chlorine, then it's fine, so long as the viscosity of the water doesn't change. Is there a difference between a nabit and naqi'? The ones discussed in books of fiqh, it seems they are both similar but different fruits. Yes. So usually the word nabith is used for dates and naqi' is usually used for raisins. Yeah. It's like just drenched in water. Sweeter man, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Arman, what is the explanation of the hadith that says that do not pray witr like Maghrib Salah? And this is actually a hadith. I've heard it somewhere. Yes, a hadith. So what this basically means is do not pray like Maghrib, like you would pray Maghrib. Doesn't mean do not pray 3 rakats. The hadith does not say do not pray witr 3 rakats like Maghrib. The hadith says do not pray like, in what way like Maghrib? Maghrib, in the last rakat you only read Fatiha. Witr you don't read Fatiha in the last rakat, you read Fatiha and Surah. Right? And Hanafi say you do Qunut as well. So when this is called a tashbih. This is like if I say to you, don't pray like Zayd, right? Don't pray like Zainab. What does it mean? Don't pray like Zayd or Zainab. Does it mean he prays Zuhr, so don't pray Zuhr? She prays Tahajjud, don't pray Tahajjud? No. It could be don't pray like Zayd, the way that he rushes his salat. Don't pray like Zainab, the way that she, shows off her salat. For example. So I think this is what the Hanafi say. The hadith does not say do not pray witr 3 rakats like Maghrib. It says do not pray. What is tasawwuf? Tasawwuf basically means strengthening your connection with Allah. Muta'allim wa alaykum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. Kya hal hai? Khalid say. Curious Cat, ahlan wa sahlan. I've answered most of Curious Cat questions. My brother has one. حلوست خليل أهلا وسهلا عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته شيخنا. أنا اسمي حلوست من كردستان العراق وعمري 21. أنا الآن أحفظ كتاب معالم السنة النبوية للشامي. أتيت إلى يوتيوب ووجدتك في بث مباشر. أدعو لشيخي بالتوفيق. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يوفقك لما يحب ويرضى ويعلمك مما ينفعك في الدنيا والآخرة. عائشة صديقة وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. What's your opinion on people trying to excuse Abu Hanifa by always saying this hadith didn't reach him? I would say maybe a hadith didn't reach him. He didn't know all of the hadith. Again, see, what I would suggest, Sami, is study usul hadith. Right? Because see, when someone makes an objection, if they don't see the whole picture, their objection is very, very difficult to respond unless you give them the full picture. And sometimes giving them the full picture actually requires you to spend hours explaining things to them before they can understand how this concept can easily be answered. It's like, for example, let's say there's a book that's got 500 pages in there, and they are objecting to something that they've only read on one page. They've only read one page of this 500-page book. They're objecting, like, for example, let's say it's a novel, and he says, oh, how comes in this book Khalid drives his car without a license? How comes is that? Yeah, that's wrong. And so if you haven't read the whole book, you don't know why Khalid is driving without a license. You have no idea. Then the objection is just silly. So this is why I would suggest, I actually got a 22 lesson course on Usul Hadith, which you can get access to, and watch that, inshallah. A lot of these questions, inshallah, get cleared up very easily. In a nutshell, the answer, the person's objection is very silly. Yeah, there were many Sahaba who hadith didn't reach them, but that doesn't mean that the deen didn't reach them. The deen reaching someone is different. If someone says, oh, 20% of the deen didn't reach Abu Hanifa, I give that person a slap in the face. Yeah, well, Abu Hanifa, what was he practicing? Was he like, oh, you know what, I only pray for 4 salats a day because I never heard of a salat called Fajr. Yes, silly idiot. How can Abu Hanifa, someone living amongst the Tabi'in and Sahaba, how can he not know there's 5 salats? So if someone says to you a hadith has not reached someone, there's also a hadith haven't reached me, right? There's also a hadith that Imam Ibn Hajar didn't know. There's also a hadith that is in Sahih Bukhari. There's Ibn Umar, Abu Hurairah says to Ibn Umar that the Prophet said anyone who prays janazah gets a qirat, and if they follow the janazah until the buried, they get 2 qirats, 2 mountains of deeds, reward they get. And Ibn Umar said, are you sure? Are you sure? He then went to Aisha, and Aisha said, he's right. He goes, look at that. He goes, I didn't even know this. لَقَدْ فَرَّتْنَا قَرَارِيتْ كَثِيرًا. So a person not knowing hadith isn't a problem, but a person not knowing the deen, so you have to differentiate between what is deen and is it necessarily synonymous. That if a person does not know a hadith, they don't know the deen. If one forgot that he did sajda sahu, should he do sajda sahu again? Yes. Actually, in last Rakat al-Maghrib, you don't even need to reply. They are saying nothing is still valid. True. I see a new question in Curious Cat. Oh, you sent a new one, yeah? Okay, let's have a check. Okay, oh, still got some left. All right, so why would interest accumulated by having savings account be considered to be haram? The bank used the money for your money and made profit with it, and they give you a certain percentage. Okay, so the way profit works is if you invest it in a business and receive money that was made. The way interest works is you make money from borrowing people money. So the difference is banks operate on the second way, which is called riba in Islam and interest in English. That's basically the difference. So I think people, they don't understand making money from money itself, as in the sense that you borrow someone money and you say to them, I want this much back. That's called interest. That's feeding off. You're basically feeding off the vulnerability of someone, the weakness of someone. Someone is in a weak situation, they need money, but you are deliberately making money off them. Okay, next. You know how the Prophet ﷺ went to Mi'raj and he met the Prophets. How was he able to meet them when the Prophets were dead and their bodies were somewhere? So first of all, we believe all Prophets are alive. Secondly, the scholars debate in what state they prayed with the Prophet, peace be upon him. Was it physically or was it in a spiritual realm? Okay, next. Remember, hit the like button, guys. Hit the like button. I have learned 4 seconds ago that modding my PSP 3000 is illegal. The question is attempting to jailbreak my PSP console counted? I don't know. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. I have a question on a freelance job. I have to code a product researcher, but the guy I'm doing the project for will use it, find real estate homes to buy finance, probably with riba. Am I a gateway? No. Your job is fine. Yeah, because let's say, for example, someone asks you to make a knife and they might use it to kill someone. As long as 100% they are not going to use it for something which is wrong, then there's permissibility for it. Ruling on making a product that can be used in haram and halal. Okay, same question. I was thinking about making an online course about Islam with a small charge fee every month. Would my earnings be be haram? No. Okay. Ruling on making a product that can be used in haram. Okay, answer that one before. How to make the Quran your best companion in life aside from studying Arabic? What can one do? Read a translation. Attend a class of Quran. And nowadays you can do it online as well. Okay, I'm a university student, study fiqh independently and in depth in researching issues necessary from books. Radul Muhtar. and then hear them to scholars every week. However, I will soon be entering job force and staying motivated seems hard since the way I study fiqh takes a lot of time to make progress compared to how it would be studied normally in madrasa. How should I say motivated? My eventual goal is to be a mufti. I would say stick to a topic and do as much research on that topic as you can. If you can read a chapter and try to reread in another book, that will also help. The thing about staying motivated, you won't know how motivated you will be unless you start your new job. That's the thing. So you wouldn't really be able to say at the moment, I would say. But generally, I would say motivation always comes from having a goal. So you should have your goal at the end. My goal is to understand the whole of tayammum. I want to understand everything about tayammum. That's my goal, let's say. Work towards that. So why is the wudu valid with stomach sounds and if gas? Why is wudu valid? Because according to Hanafis, wudu only breaks if you're 100% sure that something's come out. Like if you can swear by Allah and say, Wallahi, I broke my wudu, then your wudu breaks. Okay. Do you have any course lessons on buyu? My kuduri. Check out my kuduri. So I don't know if you've seen my kuduri lessons on my YouTube channel. So check out Mukhtasar al-Quduri. I've got like 215 videos. And I've got like shorts on buyu as well. So you go to my YouTube channel. I don't know do you know my YouTube channel? Check out my YouTube channel. You'll find on there lots of resources, inshallah. That'll help you. Okay, let's. Okay, for an Alimiyas graduate with a rusty Arabic, forgotten grammar rules and surf tables, is it better to start fresh from year one? So what you can do, you have two options here. Option number one is you either go through the books yourself. So if you are disciplined, go through from year one and go through them yourself. And anywhere you find patches, contact someone and ask them to explain it to you. You probably will be able to do the whole thing, but in a short span of time. The other option, the long-winded one, is restart the course again. Yeah. Wait through Siwa, yeah, maybe you do that. The thing what I found with a lot of graduates who didn't study in an institute which was solid is that they can usually pick up a lot of the things very fast. Is it correct to pray witr like how they pray it in the haram according to Hanafis? No. Other madhabs allow that. Dar al-Fatih, I last saw your live stream last year where you were leaving. I told you to eat biryani or give us biryani. I actually had some biryani today at Mom's house. I am good with Arabic translation, just can't read it properly. So it'll take you time, inshallah. Don't worry. I would say in the meantime, try to read as much Arabic storybooks as you can, kids' storybooks. Do we do sajda just for missing a wajib or when something crossed our minds and we are not aware if we did the qira'ah correctly? No. Just when you miss a wajib or you delay a rukn or you add something extra to it. Deen is knowing fardain. This helped a lot, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. I will definitely look at your usul hadith. You're welcome, brother. Mahir wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Is sourced reselling haram? Exactly what is that? What does that mean? If you can explain it, inshallah. Member al-Hilm wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, my friend from Turkey. Dropshipping is haram as the product is not in the possession of the seller. Now will is to buy the product. So dropshipping is a big topic, yeah, because there's many different models of dropshipping. Mufti Faraz actually has made a video, I think it's today, on how to actually make the dropshipping permissible. Yeah. So see, the thing is this: If I have a website and I'm selling things which I don't have possession of, I'm acting as a fudul. This is called a fudul bay al fuduli. There's several ways that you can make this into a permissible transaction. One is where you act as a fuduli. A fuduli is a non-commission agent. So you buy stuff off me which I don't have, and then what I do is actually buy it off the person and send it to you. So that is one of the ways where if you treat it as a bay al fuduli, there may be some scope in there. Another way is making it into a wakala contract, where that person is considered to be making you the person who's buying on their behalf. So what I would suggest is you have to be quite explicit in your dropshipping terms and conditions that this is how it's going to work. Whether they want to read those terms and conditions or not, it's up to them. Is there a difference between usury and interest? I believe heard riba is better than hazrat usury. I don't know, Maybe there might be. Good broadcast. Thank you very much. Aisha Siddiqa, Ustad, read, listen, meditate, think, live the Quran. Subhanallah. If one doesn't read the ayah in order in Fard Salah, what should one do? There's no need to do sajda sahu, but next time they should try to read it in order. Sourced reselling involves buying products from suppliers or manufacturers and then selling them to customers at a higher price. That's fine. Yeah, totally fine. That's basically what nearly all shops do. All right, guys. Jazakumullah khair. I am going to finish it there, inshallah. There's one more question, curious guy. If I have seen non-Muslims sell jewelry, such as rings with the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, in Arabic script, is it appropriate for them to own and sell things as well as non-Muslims could buy? Yes, it's permissible. Many non-Muslims, they make these designs, they like these designs. Now, obviously, as a Muslim, you wouldn't like these kind of things to be used in the wrong places. But technically, there's no real kind of laws on this. Maybe in a Muslim country, there might be some strict laws on it. Salam, I want to do a course for 4 years. However, the inquiries are if you have worked for 3 years. I haven't worked for 3 years. So is it allowed to carry on the course, Ustad? So will they allow you? If you haven't worked for 3 years, will they allow you? As long as you are not lying to them in any way. Maybe you can contact them and explain your situation to them. If the transaction of dropshipping is haram, then would the buyer be sinful for purchase the item knowing that it was sold by dropshipping? Not necessarily. No, because they've actually bought it from the other person, haven't they? So Hanafi don't say it's haram. See, the thing is, bay'u ma la yamlikuhu. Someone said to you, it requires a whole discussion. When people say the word dropshipping, it's like they don't know all the details exactly how the Hanafis deal with dropshipping. That's why watch Mufti Faraz's video, inshallah, on this, and let me know what you think. All right, guys, I am going to finish it there. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much for everyone for watching. May Allah bless all of you, beautiful, wonderful people. May Allah keep all of you guys happy and save you from calamities and give you barakah in your ilm and your time and your efforts. And inshallah, I will see you guys next week and hopefully try to answer any questions that you have then. And remember, end of the day, our whole aim is to be servants of Allah. That is the whole aim of all this life, to be servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should do that. We should make dua for each other, make dua for our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and especially in Bangladesh at the moment with the floods. Wherever Muslims are, Sudan, Rwanda, so many places to name. Make dua for them. You have unity. If I've said anything and anyone's got upset, then please forgive me. I didn't intend it. And likewise, you should do the same as well. And try to conceal your sins as much as possible and ask Allah forgiveness for them. All right, guys, take care, inshallah. Assalamu